So Cashbook has more than 50 lakh download.
Wow. Tell me, what is Cashbook?
Cashbook is UPI expense management for business owners.
Yeah.
But if you think of SMBs, their employees will eat in a dhaba. They will take a bus. And in those places, UPI is the only thing which works.
But why only SMB? This is required for all sizes of business.
I 100% agree with you, right? Like this UPI being the core way in which India does the payment. Second gen people entering SMEs are the best people to target. Facebook can tell me, right, this is a second gen entrepreneur entering the business. I will put all my money to target that user.
How do you see this AI helping, or if it's helping anyway?
I don't think AI fundamentally will change how the payment works.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of EOD Show. Today on the show we have a guest who has been working on UPIs but for business expenses. Let me explain this way. We all have been using UPIs for our payments day-to-day life. But these payments largely happen we as a consumer. We also as a businesses are accepting UPI payment. But then when we want to make payment through businesses, make expenses, it's still not UPI. Have you noticed that part? Why, as a business owners or why, as a business teams, we can't make our expenses happen through UPI? Yeah, we definitely can choose individuals to pay from their own UPI and then reimburse it, but that's a cumbersome process. Being a business owner, I realize all these petty cash issue is a really petty issue I don't want to deal with. And that's what this founder has identified as a problem and has been working on last many years. He started with a different agenda, but then, he realized this is a much bigger potential to build it. He's betting on India's UPI story. And that's how he defines it, that the UPI India story is much bigger than the India story itself. And that's what we have seen as a growth in last many years happening. Now, at one point, UPI has changed a lot of things. This area of business expenses is yet to be explored. And I, as a business owner, am able to understand how much easier this is going to make my life. And if you are a business owner yourself, I think this is why you should listen to this entire podcast. Apart from learning on his own journey, apart from understanding how to build startups, how he has found out this problem, different aspect of his journey. More importantly, why you should use a UPI based expense management. I think, I'm not endorsing his or not advertising his product right now that he'll be doing himself. But I think the whole conversation is very intriguing here, because this is where I realize there's such a untapped potential which is about to be explored. And let's further continue. Let's have Vivek joining us today on the show. Hey Vivek, welcome on the show. Would love to hear about Cashbook. I'm so excited today.
Thank you, Ankit. I think you defined it very aptly. It's almost a perfect introduction for the product Cashbook UPI.
Yeah, because I've been a business owner myself and I understand, what you're trying to build. But, today I actually called you here to re-explain, everything that you've talked to me earlier and, help our audience understand what you're trying to do. How especially this UPI is going to change the business expense side of it. It's definitely a petty cash issue, but, that's a petty issue I never want to deal with.
I agree with you.
So let's start. Vivek, tell me, what is Cashbook?
Cashbook is UPI expense management for business owners. So take a very simple example. I'm sure you use UPI. How does UPI work?
You go on Google Pay and pay it.
Yes, but UPI works one person, one account, one phone number. So you use UPI from your personal or savings bank account. Now think you are a business owner, right? You are
Which I am.
which you are. So it's a private limited. You will have at least 2 directors, and you will say you have 10 employees, 200 employees. So now how will you link this 202 number to one current account, business account? You cannot.
Yeah,
There's no way. It does not work. So we enable that. So we allow you to issue wallets from your current account so that your staff can do then expense.
Interesting. But how does it really help? I mean, I understood the concept, but why as a business owner I would want it?
So this product already exists, right? Like an expense management suite already exists. It has been there across world, right? Like you have Bricks and Ramp. These are big expense management companies. Companies give you corporate card to do expense wherever you are traveling. All those kind of expense you can do using this card. But now coming to India, right? India is no more a card economy, right? Like India does not works on card. India works on UPI. If you look at UPI's number, it dwarfs the number
Absolutely.
of whatever is of credit card or
Yeah.
debit card or expense card, any card.
Hmm.
So in that sense, UPI is the fundamental thing on which anyone does expense in India.
Hmm.
Now, if you are a company, you can give card,
Hmm.
but if you are a big company, enterprise sort of a company, it makes sense for you
Hmm.
because your employees will go to a hotel, will book a Ola, Uber.
Yeah.
But if you think of SMBs, their employees will eat in a dhaba,
Hmm.
they will take a bus,
Hmm.
and in those places, UPI is the only thing which works to do the
Hmm.
expense. So for company to track the expenses of employee and ensure that this is getting done in a very comfortable fashion without
Hmm.
the hassle of reimbursement, sending money to his personal account, giving him cash in place of
Hmm.
uh, any other means. So there UPI is good.
Hmm. Interesting. I like the idea, but you know, as an entrepreneur, why do you think this is important? मतलब आप और भी कुछ कर सकते थे, यही क्यों?
नहीं मतलब ये हमें काफ़ी टाइम से करना था तो इससे पहले बेसिकली आई रैन अ रेस्टोरेंट एंड ऑल्सो अ लॉन्ड्रोमैट देयर ऑल्सो आई फेल्ट लाइक लॉट ऑफ योर डेली एक्सपेंसेस राइट लाइक
Hmm.
सो इफ यूर इन अ रेस्टोरेंट बिजनेस यू विल हैव प्रोक्योरमेंट ऑन अ डेली बेसिस
Hmm.
आप सब्जी वब्जी खरीदोगे मीट वीट खरीदोगे so all those things you do payment right like you either the mandi guy comes and gives it to you
Hmm.
most likely in restaurant cases there's fixed vendors who will come and give it
Ah.
to you
Ah.
like all utensils disposables and
Hmm.
lot of things right so there the expense is a consistent thing which is going out now you
Hmm.
can do it in a check fashion you can have some advances you will give him in a end of month and things like that but you are not always there to do it at times your
Hmm.
staff is there in the store and he will take the delivery and do the payment so there
Hmm.
this makes a lot of sense like it's an anomaly that in India the UPI does not work with the current account right like a product which has 20 lakh crore per
Hmm.
month value 20 lakh crore per month value
Hmm.
their B2B part is 0.7% of UPI's entire value. It is
Interesting.
0.7% because a lot of sole prop use it for one person, one account. That
Hmm.
is why that 0.7% is also coming. So it should be there. It's like a no brainer that it should be there.
Interesting. तो अभी तक ये क्यों नहीं आया था? किसी और ने क्यों नहीं किया?
The UPI architecture has been built like that.
हाँ.
But now it's slowly coming
हाँ.
with the one of the first company to launch it. I think there will be more companies. Technically, you need lot of layering for this. You need
Hmm.
a PPI license for this.
Hmm.
You need lot of layering to execute this. That's why it takes time to
Hmm.
execute it.
And how big you think is the market?
So look at any economy, right? Like
हाँ.
one of the good way of looking at it is
हाँ.
you look at GDP of any economy.
Hmm.
So say India is a 3 trillion economy.
Hmm.
3x that size is the B2B transaction of that economy.
Hmm.
So अगर 3 ट्रिलियन का इंडिया है तो यू विल से 9 ट्रिलियन इज द साइज ऑफ आई एम टेकिंग द एग्जांपल ऑफ यूएस राइट लाइक
Hmm.
दिस
Hmm.
इज व्हाट द नंबर्स इन यूएस सेज
Hmm.
आई एम जस्ट ड्रिलिंग इट डाउन टू इंडिया तो उसका 3x इज योर बेसिकली द B2B ट्रांजेक्शन नाउ
Hmm.
3x बिकॉज B2B हैज लॉट ऑफ लेयर्स राइट
Hmm. Hmm.
suppliers
Hmm.
then factory then X and Y so all those transactions compound usually comes to 3x
Hmm.
10% of that is usually the expense the petty expense
अच्छा.
so
Hmm.
you will say 900 billion should be
Hmm.
uh, the transaction value which you can achieve over here.
Interesting.
It should be more than B2C. It should be
Interesting.
definitely more than B2C. The consumer UPI, it should be at least 2 3x of that.
But why nobody else has been doing it so far? मतलब कुछ अभी ऐसा चेंज हुआ कुछ मतलब अभी क्यों ये यूपीआई तो यार इंडिया में बहुत सालों से आ चुके हैं.
How that was the question with which we also started this, right?
हाँ.
Like that was the thing which I wanted back in 2018, right? Like this
हाँ.
is long back in 2018 we wanted, and then we started. So because we didn't know financial services very well, we started the record keeping part of it, right? Like
Hmm.
owners can just input cash they have given to their staff, and then whatever expense staff is doing, he will keep adding there so that owner can tally it. That's where the
Hmm.
cashbook journey started, and we've been wondering same, but yeah, there is a need for this product in the market.
Hmm.
We have clear understanding of that from our own user base.
Hmm.
Why no one has done that? You will have to ask other people. Should be done.
You know, by name it sounds very similar to Khata book.
Yeah.
Any coincidence or any reason it sounds similar?
No, Khata Book has done great branding, and
Uh,
that's why
uh,
I think everyone in industry associate
hmm.
us somewhere close to that. It's okay.
और भी लोग पूछते हैं ये
हाँ
सवाल.
हाँ हाँ ये बहुत पूछा जाता है. But if you look at genuinely, right,
uh,
like Cashbook has more organic searches than Khata Book.
hmm.
Cashbook is a much better keyword than Khata Book.
Hmm.
And Cashbook is the keyword which you use for petty cash.
Hmm.
So it made absolute sense for us to go with the name Cashbook, and because of that, we have lot of organic downloads. We have lot of organic downloads compared to a lot of other
Hmm.
players.
Interesting.
Cashbook is that, like, it's not a Hindi and English word combination. It's that word which everyone uses. It's not khata plus book. It's not pagar plus book or any X plus book. It's
Mm,
the word, right? Like
true,
cashbook.
true.
You look at Google Trends today, open the word cashbook, look at the volume of cashbook, and look at the volume of khata book or any other books. Cashbook
uh,
will dwarf any other
uh,
when it comes to,
that's a
yeah,
smart way of putting it.
yeah, yeah.
Totally. And what's the scale right now? How many business are using it? What do you see for the future?
So Cashbook has more than 50 lakh downloads.
Wow.
And so business owners are primarily SME owners are using it
Hmm.
to track expense of their employees,
Hmm.
not the UPI piece. UPI
Hmm.
piece has been launched last month.
Acha.
So there we have now around 300 businesses using it. It is now
Wow.
coming out of the testing
Just in
phase
a month?
just in a month. Because
Wow.
we had 50,000 users in waitlist.
Acha.
So it's right now the testing phase of it which is going on.
Got it.
Towards the end of this month, we'll open it for all the users.
Got it. And what are you seeing? What kind of numbers you're expecting in a year?
So I don't have like a large number sort of expectation. I just looking to become profitable with the product quickly. That is the most important thing. Number wise,
uh,
if we achieve 10,000 businesses,
uh,
that itself will be a great number. So 10,000
amazing.
businesses in next 3 to 4 months. That'll be awesome.
Got it. Let's talk about UPIs, yeah, because you're working very close with the whole ecosystem. Might be on the business side of it, but I think looking at last few years with respect to payments, digital payments, I
Hmm.
think UPIs has been one of the milestone for India.
Hmm.
It changed the way how India pay.
Hmm.
And something, even I love to flaunt around with friends who come from, US or West in
Hmm.
India and to show around, look, this is how we scan,
Hmm.
India don't tap or something, India scan.
Yeah.
And but the growth has been there. But what's now with UPI? What are you seeing UPI's future, or what is happening in UPI or payment side of it?
So in my view, the experience of payment now in Western countries are catching up
Hmm.
and is becoming much, much, much better. Like once you use your Apple Watch to pay in Subway,
Hmm.
just tap and pay and move out,
Hmm.
you will realize how seamless that experience is.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't say like
Hmm.
5 years back, I'll say
Hmm.
India reigns supreme in digital payments,
Hmm.
but not
Hmm.
today, right? Like not
Hmm.
today. We are still great, but
Hmm.
Pix has
Hmm.
came in Brazil. So
Hmm.
this mobile first networks across world has came in. So those
Hmm.
are great. The next set of innovation which is happening in the digital payment side of it is basically happening in USDT. So it's a digital USD.
Hmm.
Like you have digital rupee coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Cred recently announced
Hmm.
a pilot about digital rupee. It's doing with Yes Bank, and
Hmm.
so Yes Bank maybe the sponsor bank, and Cred is doing it.
Hmm.
RBI is also monitoring that. So digital rupee is one of the great innovation which will come in. I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to it. I've used digital rupee for multiple banks, but in the bank
Interesting.
UI it's not
Hmm.
great. So
Hmm.
I think Cred coming in will do much better job over there. So that's one great innovation which might come in. Other than that, I think UPI is pretty much
Hmm.
growing every month.
Hmm.
UPI side of it, there are two new. I think there's one new thing which has came out is like a credit card on UPI.
Hmm.
So that's another thing which RuPay credit cards can now be linked to your UPI account, and you can scan and pay using credit. So that's
Hmm.
another thing which is happening. A friend of mine, very good friend of mine, Anup is doing that.
Hmm.
That is with Kiwi. That's a credit card on UPI app.
Hmm.
So that's another product which is in the market.
Interesting. Interesting. And what do you see for businesses happening? Because you're working close. One part is you're, creating a layer which helps them manage it entirely. What else? What do you see happening on the business side? Because if I look, the UPI impact, I can
Hmm.
see it as a consumer, a significant change.
Hmm.
But as a business owner, I often see we still are managing it the very similar way. I think most of my even company's payment happen through cards only.
Yes, because
And
you are an enterprise company, right?
yeah.
Like you are a large company, your employees don't really go out. You will find cases of UPI. You will
Hmm.
find use cases of UPI once you start using it inside your company. I can, in fact, activate it right now,
Hmm.
but I'll need your business KYC and things like that. But it's a very
uh,
simple process.
uh,
It takes less than 5 minutes to
uh,
complete it. Uh, why? So the impact of UPI on business, I'll say more than from the expense side, it has been from the acquiring
hmm.
or getting the payment side, right? Like if you look at the acquiring side, like
Hmm.
think of yourself as a restaurant, right? Like
Hmm.
earlier you were getting all your payments from the consumer in cash.
Hmm.
You are very happy with the payment you are getting in cash, and you are very happy to spend it also in cash
Hmm.
because the whole thing, the money
Hmm.
comes in, the money
Hmm.
goes out, it never
Yeah.
goes in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
right? Like that's how the India works.
Yeah.
But I think the other impact which has happened, which is significant, is that now the money coming is also in digital.
Hmm.
So there is a trackability of that money, and that you have got that money digitally, so you are also willing to spend it digitally.
Hmm.
So that side is very important, right? Like that, I'll say from the SME lens, that has
Hmm.
changed a lot. Like a
Hmm.
lot of SME, like no SME in India can now function without keeping a QR code in front of their desk, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's absolutely not possible in India anymore.
Hmm.
Like few you can take nitpick and take some examples of some ex merchant in Y City or
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
it's now coming everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Now that you're acquiring is also digital, right? You're
Hmm.
getting the money digitally.
Hmm.
You want to spend it digitally, right? Like now that it's in your book,
Hmm.
it has came through digital means.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Totally.
I feel is a bigger impact which a lot of people miss, which is
Hmm.
happening in the SME segment.
I often have spoken to a lot of SMEs, and I see a lot of lack of trust for the staff members.
Yes, yes,
If you're
absolutely.
talking about letting staff make payment through digital systems, one way it's fine. At least I'm able to manage it digitally. But the other way is I'm letting my staff pay.
I'm 100% on board with you, right? Like any SME owner, me being an SME owner, you have distrust of
uh, uh,
from your staff side, right? That's why you look at a lot of SME business. These are family run businesses, right?
uh,
Like you have ex brother, Y
uh,
brother combinedly doing the business and things like that, right?
hmm.
And that's where they get family members also, because then that family member has that element of trust. But that being said, like you cannot solve trust always from the family member lens, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So what we essentially do is that you don't need, see, even if they're like, taking an example, you have 202 employees.
Hmm.
I link all these 202 employees to your current account, you will get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you send money to employee X in his wallet. So
Okay.
you only send him 2000 rupees.
Okay.
And then you have additional control over it. Like anytime you do a transaction above 200 rupees, you cannot do a transaction above 100 rupees, X sort of control. You will
Got
have
it.
to attach invoice with each transaction.
Hmm.
What else? You can get GPS location of the employee from where he has done transaction. So think of it more or less like a camera analogy. Once you have
Hmm.
camera set up, the behavior of people is different
Hmm.
than camera not having there. So it makes sense absolutely to, like, if you give him in cash,
Hmm.
the trackability, traceability, what expense he has done, that is gone. That's the
Hmm.
first part of it. The second part of it is look at from it from the reimbursement lens. So
Hmm.
I'll tell you the problem. Like you will have to look at the problem from multiple lenses. One lens is the trackability of it, right? Like you are not comfortable giving the money cash to him and then getting some receipts from him which can be of any xyz amount and first. So
Hmm.
that thing gets solved over there. So you have a clear trackability. He has paid to merchant x,
Yeah.
he has attached the invoice, he has paid it from the location or whatever. Like you have a lot
Hmm.
of you want, for any transaction above x size, you want him to take permission from you, you can do that, right? Like
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
So one, that part is done. Second part of it, look at it from the reimbursement hassle. I'm
Hmm.
sure at the end of the year you do a, every one of your employees
Hmm.
file the reimbursement of whatever expense they are doing.
Hmm.
You do an expense from card,
Hmm.
you then keep the receipt with you.
Hmm.
At the end of the month, company
Hmm.
HR comes or the accountant of the company comes and bugs you that give all
Hmm.
the receipts. Where are all the receipts of the payment you have done, right?
Hmm.
That becomes an hassle. Here you
True.
do the payment using the camera, and then
Hmm.
using the same camera you just capture the receipt image. Everything is done and sorted. So for employees who want to do it
Hmm.
in a sorted fashion, this works like a charm. Now look for distributed teams.
Hmm.
So think of a construction. He has 5 sites. Each site manager is doing some work.
Yeah.
Now this site manager needs to travel some 40 kilometers, come to the head office to take cash or
Hmm.
whatever form of passion. So there is a long traveling also which happens, right? Like we solve that also. You can instant
Interesting.
in, yeah, it's in an instant you can send him the money. Well, still the large payments and large procurement happen through central office. But now what we are seeing is a lot of small payments are also happening at the site. So I'm sure you have now noticed
Yeah.
this behavior on your personal UPI only,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now you must have started giving, like, say if you want to pay your friend at 30,000 rupees,
Hmm.
you're not gonna open your bank account and do NEFT to him for 30,000 rupees. You're
Yeah.
just gonna
Yeah.
do UPI to him.
Absolutely.
So UPI starts as a petty cash, like 10, 20 rupees, 100 rupees, samosa payment, X payment, Y payment, but
Hmm.
it slowly starts growing into that one
Yeah.
lakh, like 20,
Absolutely.
30,000 rupees
Hmm.
range. So
Hmm.
what we have started seeing, some vendor payments are also started happening from this channel. That's a very interesting development. And
Got it.
obviously it follows the rule which has been in
Hmm.
the consumer side of it.
Got it. It's very interesting because now when you say this, I can understand and I can realize the importance of it because it no longer giving me better control over the spendings. It also is giving me better visibility around it. With cash, it was just I've given, and whatever answer I've got, or whatever invoice maybe I've got, I have to rely upon
Yeah.
it. But now with more data, maybe it's more accountable,
Yes.
and hence this might actually open up more trust between SMB owners and staff members with respect to
Yeah,
spending.
the trust is one layer of it. Like I tell you, right? Like, so for folks who are using 5 6 wallets in our applications,
Mm,
they are looking at it mostly from the trust lens. But
mm,
for folks who start using, say, 15 or 20 wallets sort of a range,
mm,
for them it's convenience. They
mm,
don't want their staff to bug that you have to do payment to him. You
mm,
do the payment. At the end of the day, I'll do a calculation of it. I'll have a view of it,
mm,
right? So for them, the convenience trumps everything. Like I don't want to be bothered about that 200 rupees payment you have done. I
mm,
just log it from the system, do it from the system. I
mm,
just don't want to be bothered about it. So a lot of owners think from that lens, right? Like now that I have given you a wallet, do all the expense from this.
mm. But at the end, see, even there, the trust is the main factor which is leading to this convenience. People want convenience, but people, especially with money, won't be able to really switch to convenience till the time they have a strong trust, because your layer is fundamentally adding trust.
Yeah, yeah,
Fundamentally, that's a trust layer. And
yes,
once you have a trust layer, then you are able to do anything on top of it.
yeah, yeah,
Convenience comes
yeah,
naturally
yeah,
then.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Is this that you're
Yeah,
spending from the system? That is the important thing, right?
true,
Like that,
true.
that is an important part.
Mm. It has got better accountability. It has got, even towards the month end, and I'm trying to imagine, the system. If I have to really do an audit or really do a quick check, how much money on what kind of things. Do you also do these
For
analytics?
no, for you, you are
Huh,
not aware of this, right? Like
huh,
because you are a large company, you are not
huh,
aware of all this.
huh.
But for your accountant of the company, if you take this product to him, he's like, I need this. How we do analytics on this, right? Like
Hmm,
we can tell you. So whenever you do payments anywhere, like you
hmm,
get this MCC code,
hmm,
which is the merchant code, which tells you that if this payment has been on petrol pump or this
hmm,
payment has been on a restaurant F&B
hmm,
segment.
hmm,
So those analytics we get automatically and we show it to our users, like where the payment has been done. So
hmm,
those categorization are there, which is essential, right? Like a lot of people now that we have started looking at folks asking us for 100 wallet plus. They
hmm,
have also started us for asking for budgeting. So
hmm,
they're like, my petrol cost for this month is 50,000 rupees
hmm,
from this site.
hmm.
I want to just allocate this 50,000 rupees for this budget, and he can spend only from that. So those kind of special requests are also coming in. I will
Interesting.
look into that.
But why only SMB? This is like, I think, when you're speaking about it, I can see this is required for all sizes of business.
I 100% agree with you, right? Like this UPI
Hmm.
being the core way in which India does the payment, this will be required for all sides of business. Initial focus in an SME side because it's easier to onboard them. They
Hmm.
have a completely self-serve model.
Hmm.
They can do their KYC, business KYC, and then individual KYCs and all those things completely
Hmm.
online. We don't need to get too involved in the process.
Hmm.
Essential initial set of features are also available for them to
Hmm.
find great use of it.
Hmm.
And also because Cashbook has a very big SME base, so
Hmm.
we'll first cater to SME. I
Hmm.
think SMEs move fast.
Yeah.
That's another good
Yeah.
advantage with them. The decision making process, you know, you can make a decision in a day's time.
Hmm.
Like unlike enterprise and other places, you can make decision in a day's time. So that also helps. So initially, we want to cater to SMEs. I think there's big enough market in SME itself.
Hmm.
Uh, Over time, we might look into expanding to enterprise side as well.
Interesting.
When I say SME, I mean so we can very easily cater to 100 wallets, right? When
Hmm.
I say SME, I mean SME. I don't mean your local mom and pop shop and other
Hmm.
places. Like I mean manufacturing, I mean construction, I mean
Yeah.
education, I
Yeah.
mean healthcare.
Hmm.
So a lot of people in India think SME is only kirana guys.
हाँ
No,
मतलब
that's the segment we have never
हाँ
served, and we
हाँ
never want to serve that
हाँ.
segment. So kirana is not like your local mom and pop shop guys are not my target audience.
Sure. But do you think there can be a self-serve version where, even this local mom pop shop can use it?
Yes, but they don't have any use case of it. If the owner of the business is sitting in one location
Mm.
at the
But still, they
counter.
might have one or two staff, maybe just.
But then those staffs are also in the same location. Na? The owner
Mm.
itself sits on the counter throughout the day.
Mm.
The staff also is like there's no
Got it.
use case in mom and pop shop.
So you spoke bit about what we're doing it before it, but I still want to know much of a journey. Where do you come from? How do you start this? What made you think in this direction? A bit of your history.
So did my MBA from IIM Indore. Was part of 5 year program there. 3 years BBA, 2 years MBA. Had absolute
Interesting.
blast in my college. Enjoyed my time in my college.
Uh,
While I was in college, also got involved in running few
Mm.
businesses. One of those was laundromat. Helped a friend scale laundromat from IIM Indore to IIT Indore, and then that business got scaled to multiple campuses, like 15,
Interesting.
16 campuses across India.
Mm. Mm.
Also ran a restaurant in campus for 2 years.
Mm.
So that experience, so that was a formative age. Also did an internship in OYO. I remember in 2015. Yeah, back in 2015. So that was another formative experience towards
Mm.
going ahead and doing a startup. So OYO was back then only
Mm.
in three cities. I think I was that Delhi NCR only.
Mm. Mm.
Noida, Gurgaon, and Delhi. That three city OYO was there.
Mm.
I think I was one of the first intern there.
Mm.
So that was a formative experience to move towards startup. Then post college decided to work for a year. Product management was a shiny thing.
Mm.
Uh, 2017, not a lot of people were doing product management, but product management was a big thing in US. So did product management for a year. Uh, then took a year off, chilled
Mm.
around because a lot of my friends were now working. So I had place to crash in Delhi, Bangalore, everywhere. So did
Uh,
that, chilled for a year, and then 2019 started this. The initial idea was to help small businesses sell online.
mm.
Uh, Something like Dukan and Bikai we are doing. Very
Mm.
quickly realized that that won't work.
Mm.
Uh, because people need end-to-end experience, right? Like there are
Mm.
two set of people. One
Mm.
consumer wants to go down and buy from the grocery shop, and
Mm.
there is another set of consumer who is willing to pay, but he wants end-to-end experience. And local
Mm.
mom and pop shop is never willing to give that experience. So I can go on a separate rant about how
Mm.
Kirana guys are a dying breed, and how Zepto and Blinkit coming in is a great thing for
It,
consumer experience point of view, at
mm.
least, right? Like
But
very contrarian to a lot of what a lot of people says,
yeah.
but
Uh,
yeah, Zepto and Blinkit guy can only give you that experience
uh,
then. So did that,
mm.
then got into YC. So Y Combinator was a great experience.
Mm.
From there, we were able to raise some funds, and then
Mm.
Cashbook journey has been there. Had some problem with the product from the regulation side of it, and those ups and downs, and then finally we have released the product. Happy to release the product then. This is
Interesting.
like one of the things which we used to say in the company कि इसको release करके ही मरेंगे. So that thing has
uh,
happened. So happy about that.
Sure. Tell me about YC. I think a lot of people would want to know about YC. I know a lot of folks, has gone through YC journeys, etc. What is it? Who should apply for it? What do you expect out of it? What did you really get out of it?
I think most of the things which I got from YC are pre YC.
Mm.
So YC has this fabulous video by
So YC is
YC
YC.
is an incubator.
Huh.
So
It's a.
basically, it selects some 100 startups in a year,
Huh.
in a batch,
Hmm.
and then after 3 months,
Hmm.
it will there is a demo day. You can raise money from investors.
Hmm.
But that's not the main part of YC. I think I started reading YC and Paul Graham blogs
Hmm.
back in 2016, 2015 sort of a time frame.
Hmm.
I will say still that's the absolute gem of YC, which is still
Hmm.
outside for anyone and everyone to go
Hmm.
ahead and read it. I think there was a lecture by Sam Altman, this 20 videos lecture. He is how to start a startup.
Hmm.
That was also, I don't remember,
Hmm.
that was also phenomenal. So, a lot of
Yeah.
YC's material, if you have to say it,
Hmm.
are available freely on web.
Hmm.
It's absolute gem
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want to start a startup.
Absolutely.
And for someone starting first time, I think you should definitely go and read that.
Hmm.
Maybe over time you will develop some contrarian idea to what
Hmm.
YC is saying,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
that comes over time, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
initially, those are absolute best piece of advices for you to follow.
Absolutely. And how do people, for audience to understand, how do people apply for YC? What it takes to get into
Yeah, so
YC?
it's a very simple form. It's a
Hmm.
form, you fill that form up,
Hmm.
you do the application, and they will ask you for, if you get selected, you will have an interview.
Hmm.
Once you do the interview round, they will fund you.
How much Y Combinator invest in a business typically?
So now I think they're investing 500k. I'm not super updated with
Okay.
what
Hmm.
YC is doing now,
Sure.
but I think now they are investing
Hmm.
500k.
And are you connected with folks, who has been a YC batch earlier or later?
Yes, yes, yes,
Is it a
yes.
community in Bangalore even?
Yeah, largely it's a
Hmm.
great community. I
Hmm.
have personally not
Hmm.
met a lot of folks in last 1.5 years, but it's a
Hmm.
great community.
Hmm.
Still, the YC WhatsApp group is very active. If you need any advice or
Hmm.
help,
Hmm.
it's one of the first place you go and ask for it.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, like one of the startup from my batch is Zepto. I
Hmm.
think everyone knows Zepto now.
Hmm.
They have done
Interesting.
an absolutely brilliant work.
Hmm.
Uh, So it's a great place. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think most of the tech side of the entrepreneurs know about YC. It's like place people want to start with.
Yes, yes,
I've
yes.
met a lot of people, and one interesting all the people who has been part of YC take a real pride in mentioning that or stating that the whole journey about YC, etc.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's a sign of a good community, because once you have that pride in it, that I'm part of YC, it shows a great community in itself.
YC is absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's one of the best
uh,
incubator you will ever get.
See, Vivek, you spoke about a lot of things, but I think what we're heading towards now, and I think no talk is complete without talking about the AI.
Hmm.
I think the biggest buzzword in the tech right now is the whole generative AI.
Hmm.
Every day there is new models, new
Deep Seek
technology. Yeah, DeepSeek
and
has,
whatnot. Yeah.
and even Chinese have taken a leap there.
Yeah. No, they're good. They're actually good.
Definitely. But that was like a sort of it was believed, and Sam Altman even mentioned that it's pointless to look for any training the foundational model, etc. But then DeepSeek came, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everybody started posting his
Yeah.
remarks again, that look, how the space is changing. But in your space, which is largely payments and transactions, etc., how do you see this AI helping, or if it's helping anyway?
So AI will remain a horizontal use case in this segment. I don't
Hmm.
think AI fundamentally will change how the payment works.
Hmm.
I have no idea around that. I have not seen. So what most companies will do that they will take care of customer service better using a lot of this artificial intelligence
Hmm.
GPT models.
Hmm.
So that is one use case which I see. So product development will become faster because a lot of front end devs will now
Hmm.
use chat GPT to generate code. So that becomes another thing.
Hmm.
I don't see any industry specific thing happening with AI in financial services.
So Vivek, you're building for SMBs, which India, I've seen a lot of startups and entrepreneurs have had this love-hate relation with SMB. It looks like a big market,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's very tough to crack.
Hmm.
And you go and talk to any investor today, they might show this as a sign that why you building for SMB, build for enterprises. That's where the money is.
Hmm.
SMBs don't pay. You have collection problems and all sort of things you would have.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
What's your take on it, and why you still want to build for SMB?
I think a lot of investors are absolutely right only. SME, it's very hard to get money from SME.
Hmm.
But when I say I don't say SMB, I say SME,
Hmm.
right? Like I
Hmm.
don't go to small and medium businesses, small
Hmm.
and medium enterprises, right? Like
Hmm.
that's my take on this.
And
Yeah.
how do you define it? The SME in terms of
So it's a
maybe
very clearly
revenue.
like it's I define it as per government defined as
Hmm.
micro, medium, and large.
Hmm.
Small, micro, medium. So
Hmm.
exactly as per the government definition of turnovers.
Hmm.
That's my exact definition.
Hmm.
And if you in a colloquial term, if you want to know it, then SMBs are more like your local shops,
Hmm.
right? Like I
Hmm.
will classify SMB in that direction. The
Hmm.
kirana guys, the
Hmm.
local washerman,
Yeah.
those are more or less like SMB.
Hmm.
So SMB has less been our target, and SME has been more our target, where
Hmm.
you have at least 3 4 branches.
Hmm.
Like so, uh, yeah. So couple of things coming back to
Hmm.
your questions, right? Like when you said
Hmm.
ki as it's very hard for SMEs to
Hmm.
pay and things like that. I see a lot of startups building for SME, and
Hmm.
but I see they are hinged to India growth story, which is eventually gonna come.
Hmm.
Eventually, we're gonna be a 5 trillion economy.
Hmm.
You see all large consumer brands in US also being built after the GDP per capita went beyond 10,000 USD.
Hmm.
I think India is because India is in multiple tiers, tier one, tier two, India A, India B, India C, which a lot of people talk about. We'll see a lot of large brands being built even if India reaches $5 trillion economy, right? That's where a
Hmm.
lot of this SME will also start paying. So you
Hmm.
just have to wait. You have to let the India growth story come.
Hmm.
And then with that, a lot of these invoicing app, X app, Y app, which are pure SaaS payment, will also
Hmm.
arrive, right? Like I think they should be doing revenue of like 50 CR right now.
Hmm.
In this, if they keep doing the same thing, they should be doing revenue of 200 CR in next 5 to 6 years,
Hmm.
right? Like so that I feel pretty sorted with, right?
Hmm.
For us, we are not on India growth story. We are on the growth story which has already happened in the market, which is UPI. So
Interesting.
UPI growth story has. I don't play the India growth story game, right? I
Hmm.
am playing the UPI growth story game. UPI
Hmm.
has already happened in the market, and the largest, I think, one of the large use case of UPI has been neglected, which
Hmm.
is the B2B UPI, like UPI expense management, right?
Hmm.
So there I'm playing. So I see that option is not being a challenge because people are so aware of UPI and how does UPI
Hmm.
work. So I don't see large challenge over here outside of the onboarding challenges where we do a very stringent and uh, to the letter KYC,
Hmm.
business
Hmm.
KYC or individual KYC, right?
Hmm.
Outside of that, I don't see large challenge in things like that.
Interesting. But you said, you're betting on the UPI growth story, not the India growth story. How is it too different?
So UPI growth story is a anomaly in India, right? Like
Hmm.
a nation with 2,700 GDP per capita,
Hmm.
doing large swath of its transaction digitally on
Hmm.
UPI.
Hmm.
So that growth story is something which is like which one of the best thing which has happened to India,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That growth story has played out. That has
Hmm.
been an insane success.
Hmm.
That gave hope lot of investors, XYZ international investors, that
Hmm.
India might keep doing these kind of things,
Hmm.
which sadly we have not been able to do replicate after UPI.
Hmm.
So that has played out, right? Like that's a
Hmm.
great thing, right? I don't see any other country doing this kind of digital payment volume at this low GDP per capita. So
Hmm.
post UPI, a lot of other countries have launched their own mobile first network, right?
Hmm.
Like Pix, like I was talking, Pix in Brazil has also done phenomenally well. So this is now pretty much a standard.
Hmm.
Every country has its own mobile first network now.
Hmm.
Also because of Russia-Ukraine war, people trust on international networks like Mastercard and Visa has gone down. So
Hmm.
people want to,
Interesting.
yeah, every country wants to have their local network.
Interesting. And what all countries beyond India, have implemented something, which is inspired
Every
from
country,
UPI?
every country.
UPI?
No, apart from India, which is implementing UPI,
Yeah.
no country will implement UPI. UPI is a local system.
Huh, but there something inspired from UPI.
Huh. So Brazil has Pix,
Hmm.
Russia has SBN.
Hmm.
I think Indonesia also has one.
Hmm.
Singapore has Pay Now. So
Hmm.
every country has one or other form of something like that. Mobile first network, their own network.
Got it.
So Visa and Mastercard are like a global network, which
Hmm.
works across countries. Is
Hmm.
there now? Every country is trying to build their own network. So South
Hmm.
Korea also, I think, has their own network.
Hmm.
Every country is now coming up with their own network, because
Interesting.
then having control over your own payment network is having control over your own sovereignty,
Hmm.
right? Like even if tomorrow any big network pulls out of India, I think we are okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have any problem there. So you have been serving SME for now how many years?
More than 10 years.
What are some unique insight on SME?
That when softwares in general, the
Hmm.
softwares came, the very early phase of softwares,
Hmm.
which was pre 2000
Hmm.
softwares, those were adopted by enterprise only.
Hmm.
Gradually, when SaaS came,
Hmm.
the whole software thing trickled down to, or digitization trickled down to SMBs.
Hmm.
SMEs, I would say that
Hmm.
the one you're talking about, the bit mature.
Hmm.
But now with AI, this whole digital interfaces or digital system will trickle down to smallest of businesses. Now, why does this matter? Because this is going to be the biggest driver in behavior change. Right now, as we see, or probably you mentioned about businesses using UPI, or the way UPI helped everybody adopt it.
Hmm.
I think AI is going to help everybody adopt digital system for each and everything. What I mean is the amount of digital penetration that we see right now would be significantly higher in the next 5 years of time. It's just because of AI.
Okay. So two things there. Like
Hmm.
one thing, first thing, which is a comment. So what I have realized, second gen people
Hmm.
entering SMEs are the best people to target.
Hmm.
So if an SME, so we
Hmm.
have one of the business owner
Hmm.
who's been running business in Chandigarh for
Hmm.
logistics side for a
Hmm.
long while, right?
Hmm.
Now this guy has been using, his accountant has been using some form of cashbook
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
whatever trucker are doing expense and things like that.
Interesting.
And we reached out to him for the UPI thing because he's one of the large users in
Hmm.
our base, right? And he's like, "Sir, ये सब
Hmm.
कुछ नहीं." And to few months back, we got a
Hmm.
call from the same business,
Hmm.
and this time the son has taken over the business,
Hmm.
and he just does not want to haggle about this 200
uh,
rupees,
uh,
500 rupees, and
yeah.
whatever is happening.
Yeah.
And he wants to adopt it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so he was one of our first users, and he also gave us a lot of advice on terms of feature, what we need to implement, and things
Hmm.
like that. So that's a, like, for me, if Facebook can tell me,
Hmm.
right, this is a second gen entrepreneur entering the business,
uh,
I will put all my money to target that user.
uh,
So
uh,
that like you don't have that parameter. Like, the
yeah.
problem is
Yeah.
that you don't have that parameter.
Yeah.
So that's a great place to
See, I
target.
think it's not just about second generation. My hypothesis on this, and because I've
Hmm.
seen in last 10 years, and this has been constantly evolving, the whenever next generation or the newer person, whenever
Hmm.
a younger person comes into a business, he has been digital first, he has been using all and
Hmm.
that's how he want to operate even business.
Hmm.
So whenever then a newer person, be it first generation, be it second generation, a new age person comes into, the way he operate business is very different from the way the previous generation
He
was
looks
operating.
into efficiency very
Yeah.
differently.
And a lot of aspirations, or a lot of control, the way people see control. See, SMBs has been very much around control. The general behavior, the traditional behavior has been very much under. They want to control each and every bit.
Yes.
But as the newer generation is coming, they are understanding control in a very different way. They are understanding more from accountability perspective. They're changing systems or using more systems, in fact, to bring in those things rather than have a very foot door control
No,
on
I think
everything.
that's largely. So I won't name names, but I know a large bank,
uh,
retired large bank CEO, but
uh,
he used to look for every loan which has gone beyond crore.
uh,
So if you're looking like the control level is needed at
uh,
all sort of businesses, right?
uh,
So yeah. So also I feel it's a lot more easier to target businesses who are aspirational, business owners who are aspirational.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that's
There's a strong
yeah,
correlation there.
that's my only mojo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like so in local terms we say it dhandedi. दो बंदा धंधेड़ी है हम
Hmm.
उसको टारगेट करते हैं.
Hmm.
A lot of businesses are guy who has a poultry farm has also opened a hotel,
Yeah.
and those are the best set of people to target in the market, right?
Yeah.
They want to use the product, they want to understand everything, they have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is
See,
one.
one way now we actually use that. So when we launched My Operator, even like 10
Hmm.
years back, so a lot of people were suggesting us to go offline, have a feet on street, etc. And we never did that.
Hmm.
What we realized and strongly believed on it that people who are coming online are more tech savvy.
Hmm.
And those people would be easier for us to convert, serve,
Hmm.
and grow.
Hmm.
As compared to people who doesn't come online, we have to go on feet and sell them these products and eventually expect them to grow. It doesn't happen. Right? The
But
correlation is very weak there.
yes, but still a large part of India selling is happening like that.
Yeah, but we decided, we
Yeah,
took this call
like
that.
maybe next 5 years, 10 years, it won't be required. But right now, also lot of large selling and exactly.
So I understand there's a market, but would you be able to capture that market efficiently is a question. So we
Huh.
were asking more of a efficiency question rather
Yeah.
than the
Yeah.
whole outcome
Yes.
question.
Yes. 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 So any particular example of a conversational platform or a UI which you felt has reached there?
See, I think the peak of the conversational UIs are the ones which are developed by the Chat GPTs or Geminis
I
of
talk
the
to them
world.
throughout the day. Yeah.
And that hasn't trickled down yet because there are again a lot of experiment happening. But within a year, I can see there are more than I can tell you 10 different tools that each individual would be using in terms of our day-to-day conversation. So one of I don't know if you have used this. So I love using this Google tool called Agent Space.
Okay.
What Agent Space do is it allows you to connect with your other tools and let you chat with all the tools together. So I can ask question like what is my report on my Salesforce, or what is the quota of sales that is happening right now, or maybe I can connect with the documents and then ask a question, what is the summary of this, what was the insight of this, etc., etc. So when I'm saying interface changing, I'm saying that all those different tools are now converging to chat. At the end, everything rest would be a database which is connected to a chat system where you can ask anything. You call it agent space, you call it AI agents, but the interface which I'm more focused around is becoming conversational. You just chat and get it done.
Huh, so ultimately the chat will be the interface, right?
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
chat is already the interface in a lot of things. So you're saying the chat will remain an interface for doing all sort of activities.
Yeah,
You can upload it,
including the where we started Tally, etc. I strongly think the way we do
punch
the
and order right now, right? That is going.
that's
So
going.
that I think already a lot of new age businesses are not super comfortable. So Tally I think
Ah,
has been ingrained from you learn Tally in the school and
yeah, yeah.
lot of Tally coaching centers, and then you want to be that master guy who can
Ah,
just do tap 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 and do things.
ah.
So it's a different product for different things. But yeah.
In general, just speaking out or elongated that part. So you said, no, Tally has schools, etc. What we realize, if you're building for SMEs,
Hmm.
you have to think about education a lot. Education often plays a very pivotal role in getting your product implemented in business. By education, I mean, a couple of examples I can take. See, Tally, what it did, it made Tally as an educational tool.
Hmm.
People started learning Tally, and when they start using it in the business, they use Tally.
Hmm.
A couple of other examples, Cisco, which is done really, really amazing there. Cisco created CCNAs and all the different courses, or I don't know, my time at least,
Hmm.
those courses were very popular
Hmm.
in engineering. So we used to look up to CCNA and CCNPs as a courses. What really happened through the courses was, because we were doing the courses, we are more comfortable talking about Cisco than any other systems. And this is not like one or two example. I think if you look deeper into the market, every B2B company runs some kind of their courses of its own.
Mm.
And because education, they realize education is a bigger driver for any tool adoption in businesses.
Makes sense.
SME side of it, not SMB side of it.
Makes absolute sense. Makes absolute sense.